What's up, everyone? All right, so we're going to break down this trade that I took this morning on TENX. You can see right here, this is a live recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the recording and pause it at different points, highlight things that were significant that I was looking at when I was taking the trade, and really just kind of break it down for you guys in more detail. So why don't we start by, I'll just show you the gap scanner this morning. So we'll go to time frame, historical date, time frame, historical date, and we'll do this at 9:15 a.m. All right, so 9:15 a.m. TENX is our leading gapper. It was gapping up 50%, which was obviously pretty massive. And I'll pull this back here, and this is kind of what we had. All right, so we had a stock gapping up a lot. We had news on it. My live trading platform we've got right here, TENX, the headline at 8 a.m. this morning, reports results of pre-IND meeting with FDA for phase 2 study of some medicine. All right, so, and of course you can see here the profits, but we'll watch that unfold in real time. All right, so I'm going to play some of the actual video from this morning, and then kind of interject things here and there. All right, so let's see, where did I lose my mouse to? Oh, actually, I know the problem. All right, there we go. I have to turn up the volume a little bit. So with stocks that are really extended, going. So this is me from this morning. The thing that I don't want to interrupt myself. I usually do, like, if this was a nice bull flag pullback, and we only have 2 minutes to the bell, so it's not really going to happen. But if this was a really nice bull flag pullback, and it was at like 950 and the high was 1040, I would be aggressive about getting in at 950. I would be like, I'm going to take a big position on this because this is a really strong, 5-minute bull flag pattern. But with this type of setup, where it's already parabolic coming into the open, what I'm more likely to do is go for a scalp over pre-market highs. So the pre-market high is at 1050, whatever, 1040. I get in, and my target is like $11. $10.75, $11. Maybe it squeezes to $11.50. Maybe it hits 12. But it's really just kind of scalping that extension move as it squeezes higher, and it's not going to be something where I can feel comfortable taking, a 15,000 share position. It's too extended. So, but I do think that there's a scalp opportunity out of the gates. So I'll watch it for that, and then most likely it'll pull back. It may go, pull back quite a bit down to $9, and maybe it'll give us like a red to green setup or something like that. But you obviously have to recognize that it is getting extended coming into the open. Just that right there, just for a second there, we saw a 25,000 share seller, and this guy right here is kind of was my first a little bit of a red flag, because I certainly don't like seeing big sellers like that pre-market. And this 25,000 share seller at the moment on ARCA, we kept seeing that big seller pop up, and that actually really slowed down the ability for the stock to make a big move up. So we will see that seller come back, and that does become a problem. But you obviously have to recognize that it is getting extended coming into the open. And then he's gone. Just saw a 25,000 share seller at $10, but that guy's gone. Pre-market high is 1040. So if it dips a little bit, I'd be okay with buying on the dip. I think I'm gonna reduce my shares just a little bit on this, just because it is extended high. So what we have here is a little bit of a 1-minute micro pullback, high of 1040, and the pullback right here down to like 975. So we're already getting, even though we don't have a 5-minute setup to establish risk here, we do have a little bit of a 1-minute bull flag, which is okay. High of day 1040, so 9 seconds to the bell. 8 watching seconds for the open. I'd love for it to dip down just a little bit out of the gates. All right, so there the bell rings, and we open at basically $10. I already have an order ready to buy 1,500 shares at 10, and so let's just watch this happen.
It's going to dip down for 1 second. They're 970. Okay, it dips down to 970, which is pretty much exactly what I was thinking. It would dip down, and now I'm thinking if it pops back over 10, that's where I'm going to want to jump in. I double click this right here, and it resets my shares back to 2,500 shares. That's a little bit of a problem in a sense because by double clicking there, suddenly my shares changed. However, I'm okay doing that because now my order is exactly at $10.
Okay, I'm long at 10.
And boom, I jump in
long at 10.
And look at how quickly that just went from $10 right up through the high. It was almost instantaneous. Now, for a beginner trader, this is obviously a very fast-moving trade right on the 1 minute chart. We got that little dip, so we'll replay this. We got that little dip, got in at 10, which meant my stop was tighter because my stop is the low of the pullback right down here, which is, I don't know, right around 70. Okay, watching. Boom, I jump in. And you see on the time and sales, this is the time and sales right here, we've got these other people buying at $10. So we get some buying going through, and boom, as soon as it breaks that level,
okay, I'm long at 10.
The next spot is 1030.
Long at 10.
Look at how fast. We're 6 seconds in, and I've got open unrealized of $1,300. I tried to take 5,000 shares. I pressed the buy button twice, and I only filled the first order at 10. Or, yeah, exactly at 10. All right.
For that break, see, now that's exactly what we want to see.
And boom. So what I did there is I put my order to sell half on the ask, because at that point, I know this is an extension. I know we might see resistance up around 11. And when you get a trade and you're up 80 cents per share in 10 seconds, you want to take some profit. So I use my hotkey to sell half, and then I use my hotkey again to try to sell half. So selling half of 2,500 is 1,250. Selling half of 1,250 is 625. All right, so I sold half at 1170 just by pressing the hotkey and
shares at 10.
Got the hotkey out to sell another quarter.
Sold half at 1070, and I'm going to hold the rest at $10. Stop break even.
So obviously stop break even.
So
I wouldn't let this go back down.
All right, sold the rest,
boom,
break even. So $879 with 2,500.
Okay. So again, let's just rewatch that.
So if it dips a little bit, I'd be okay with buying on the dip. I think I'm gonna reduce my shares just a little bit on this, just because it is extended high of day 1040. So watching for the open, I'd love for it to dip down just a little bit out of the gates.
So it flashed up just before the open, which did show strength.
I'm long at 10. Long at 10, looking for that break. See, now that's exactly what we want to see. So I got filled 2,500 shares at 10. I could have sold more
right here, but
I sold half at 1070, and I'm going to hold the rest
and then
at $10.
Look at how quickly
stop break even.
This comes back down. So right when it comes back down here, now I'm nervous.
All right, sold
and
the
I
rest
sold
break even. So $879
just before it broke 10 because I could tell it wasn't
not a massive win, but not at all surprising that that's what happened.
So $879.
Could have been a little more aggressive and grabbed 5,000 shares at $10, but you know.
All right, so now we're gonna look at the next trade here. So we'll move this forward just a little bit. Okay, so it dips down.
At $10.
Now we've got the high of day up here at 1080. It's not uncommon for these to dip down. It's bouncing off of its support level of this little 1 minute pullback. And so I'm watching this for a possible re-entry.
But, you know, 2,500 is good. So $879 profit. High of day is 80. I'd put an order now at 1050 if it opens back up for a 1 minute opening range breakout.
So right here I'm watching it, and when I start to see these green buyers here, this is what gives me the confidence to jump in. I'm seeing these buyers. I recognize we've got 25 on the ask, and then 29, and then 50. So we very quickly can go to the $50 and then go right up to 1092, because you can see how spaced out these orders are. So that's what gives me the confidence.
Watching right now.
Right there. See, I'm seeing more, and now I'm like, okay, I'm pressing the buy button. So I press it once right there for 2,500 shares. My order is at 1050. So it's a little bit high. I mean, in this case, I could be getting filled either at 1025 or 1050. I don't know.
I'm long at 10.
And see there,
jumped in.
Just like that, I got my first order. So I put out one order at 27, I got filled. My second order at 48 only filled 2,200 shares. And now we're already back at 1080. And here's this 12,000 share seller. That's the guy that's making me a little nervous. So I'm holding 4,700 shares with an average price of 1036. But I want to see it break over that level.
Right now
we're seeing buyers on the time and sales right here. So people are accumulating. That 12,000 share seller went from 12 to 8, 7, 6. Now we're at 5.
At 1025 for the break over 10.
So I'm watching this. I put out an order to sell half, and then I canceled it. I changed my mind on it.
80. I'm going to add.
I changed my mind to adding because now I'm thinking if this breaks that level, it's going to probably break over 12 bucks. 11
over
bucks.
1085 here for a break of 11.
So we're seeing still more accumulation, more buying. This seller's gotten smaller. We see 1080 here, and the next one is 1119. So once again, that tells us very quickly this can pop up 40 cents.
Just added it.
There we go. See all those buyers that went through right there? That's what gave me the confidence to jump in and double. So let's look at that one more time.
Over 1085 here for a break of 11.
Right here.
Just added at 1085.
All those buyers.
For a break of $11.
Now we got 11, 1119. I'm selling half on the ask.
Selling on the ask down to 444 shares. That was a $4,185 winner. Just like that. That one I was a little more aggressive on because now I had a cushion.
All right, and so just like that, $4,185 of profit. So this is one where I was quick. I jumped in down here. This is on the 1 minute chart. It's almost hard to see. I'll pull up the, let me pull up, let's see. Here it is, the 10-second chart. I'll go way back here. This is all within this little area. So we pop up. Oops. So we pop up here. This was the first move up to 1080. That was the first scalp. We dropped down, and then right here, as I started to see the buyers coming in, I added at 1024. Added at 1024 and 1048, giving me a 1032 average. We pop up, we tap 80, and then, sorry, we tap 80, which was right here. We pull back for a second, accumulation, we break over 80, and we hit a high there of 1119. As soon as we break through 80, we break through that seller, I'm putting shares on the ask. So that trade right here, the add of 2,500 shares at 80, is absolutely a scalp. I only made about 14 cents on that trade, in at 80, out at 94, selling the rest at 11 and 1118 and 1116. But that's okay. That's a little scalp. That added another $300 profit to the trade.
And on the day, I felt a little more confident. Now I'm up $4,000. All
right, so let's see.
So we've got a high of 1119. At this point, yeah, I could be a buyer over 1119, but I'm going to reduce my share size a little bit. Still holding 444 shares. Watching
average
over
cost 1051. Here on that drop, it's gonna drop. It's gonna put me into the red.
It has to be 10 if it breaks below 10.
Here I'm thinking I might end up losing a little bit. I'm down $200. So I start to put out orders. I'm going to put out an order, I believe, around 1050. I try not to panic on drops, even if I'm holding big size. Look, that's how fast it came back to 71. So I put my order at 73 to sell on the ask.
A little choppy here.
Not getting filled. And so finally there I get filled at 73.
My last 444 shares. The high is 1119. I can get back in over 11 if I want to. So next entry, we watch for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, which is over 90.
We're up 100% on the day, don't forget.
Still in the first 5 minutes. This is often when we have the most opportunity for big wins. Low of this candle is 1017, and 1008. So not the prettiest candle. 985, 950.
This 5 minutes is not looking nice.
Now it's red on the day versus the open. Not what I wanted to see, but I'll watch now for possibly a red to green move. But now look what we have on the 5 minute chart. We've got 2, 4, 6 green candles in a row and a red doji at the top. So it is extended here. I'll move this out of the way for you guys. So for me, $4,280.
The only thing better than one teacher is two teachers.
I'll watch this, but I think it's going to need probably a 5 minute setup.
He knows what he's talking about. I'll give him credit.
It was coming into the open. If this had been a nice bull flag, a nice pullback coming into the open, we could have been buying the whole next leg up.
Right.
And that next leg goes, from 950 to 10.
So what I'm saying there is that if before the open, if this was still pre-market, it had pulled back, candle pull back, another candle pull back, and the bell rings right here, then we'd be a buyer right around 950, and this thing could go on a whole nother leg up. But this open was still an extension on this first leg, so it's not really realistic to expect it to just go straight. It needs to pull back and rest a little bit. And this actually, I did better on this than I expected for these trades right out of the gates. They just ended up, playing out pretty well. All right, so we're going to fast forward this a little bit. Okay, a little trade on BDR. I'm not going to cover that one. That one's not as significant. A little scalp. First 1 minute candle to make a new high. So, well, sure, why not? I'll go over it. Okay, so this stock BDR hits the scanners. It pops up, all of a sudden I see it hitting the scanners and it's popping up to $1.30 from 105. So I'm like, okay, this is obviously a nice flag, but I didn't see it because it wasn't on my scanners during this consolidation. Suddenly it pops and hits my scanners. And I'm like, all right, so the high there is $1.35. This is technically a micro pullback. I'll just mute this and I'll just annotate or talk over it. So we get this little micro pullback right here. And now I'm like, okay, if this gets back over 30, I'm bullish. So I'm sort of watching it right around here to pop back up. And it's a little bit of a dip here. I was a little worried, but then once we start to see some buyers around 124, that's when I press the buy button. So here we go. We got 19. Okay, 20, seeing some buyers here. So I'm like, okay, I like that. I'm hovering. I'm ready to press. My mouse is right here. I'm ready to click and boom, boom, boom. There I'm in. And now the problem here is that this candle still has 24 seconds left on it. It didn't actually form a full 1 minute pullback. And so, it very kind of quickly dropped down and then popped back up. So it's still very much a scalp setup. It's not a really solid pattern yet. I'm trying to add here at 33. I finally get filled. And now I'm like, I'm not sure because that hit a high of like 51 and just came back down to 34. That's not really what I wanted to see. So now I'm a little bit unsure. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably going to put my stop at 20, right? Stop down here around 20. That's a 7-cent loss. That's not too bad. And I'm thinking, all right, let's give this a second to consolidate. There, I sold some at 31 and 26. Kind of lightening up my risk at this point because I'm no longer feeling good about it. So I'm like, all right. We know the best trades work instantly. The worst ones fail instantly. And this one's kind of in between because it's not working very well. So it's better just to lighten up my risk and step back out of it. No longer do I have 7,500 shares on the table. Now I've got 2,400. And if it ends up going, that's all right, but it's no longer going to be like a home run. And it's already proven to me it's not strong enough. So now the high of this current candle is 40 with 15 seconds left. 14 seconds, 12 seconds, 10 seconds. All right, so now I'm thinking, okay, if it gets back over 140, that's where I'm going to be bullish right here. Still have my order at 35, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to get back in or just try to salvage a little bit of a win out of what I have. But this is starting to take the form of a 1 minute micro pullback, you know, a little bit of consolidation. But I know it would need to break over 140. So what I just did there with my mouse, I moved it left and right. That was because I was just checking what is the high and low of the previous candle. So right there, it shows in this box the high and the low. So I'm just checking. I'm like, okay, what's the high? And it's 34, you know, of this current candle. And then what's the previous one? It's 40. So I'm like, okay, I know 40 is the spot to watch. I do that a lot. I just put my mouse there, double check it. Low of this last candle was like 23. Looks like I sold another half there at 27, lightening up again. And there I just bail out of the rest at 25. I'm just feeling like it's not showing a lot of strength. It's kind of coming down a little bit. I'm not sure I really trust it. High of the current candle right now with 10 seconds left is like 33. So we could still watch the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. But at that point I was like, my first trade didn't work out. So do I really want to go in for a second trade? And, you know, the answer is no, I don't really trust it. But watch what happens over 34. So there's 34. Here's some buyers. The seller right there, but he gets bought up. And boom, now we're at 44. So there would have been a little scalp opportunity. I kind of sold it right on the bottom of the pullback. But at the same time, $47 winner is fine. It obviously didn't do what I thought it would. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been buying up here. I thought it was going to go straight into 50. 55, maybe get halted on a circuit breaker and open higher. So it just didn't really happen. And it's not going to retest the high of day anyways. Now we've got a 15,000 share seller. He just popped up there for a second. So you see right there, just for a second, but enough to scare some people. Right? So reading that on the level 2 makes me think, probably not interested. And it ends up coming back down. All right, so now let's look at TENX. Back on TENX. So this has now formed a little bit of a pullback. It's not the cleanest because we have two doji candles in a row. This red candle and the second red candle are both dojis. However, the first candle to make a new high is still significant, and so I'm watching it long over 10.05. My order's right here.
I have a cushion on it, so I'm long at 10.05.
Boom, boom.
Only got filled 1,500 shares on TENX. It's the first 5 minute candle to make a new high.
Now, I'll just rewind that. That's how quickly I jump in, and I even had to cancel my order. I have a
cushion on it, so I'm long at 10.05.
So see, it was like boom, boom, pressing the hotkey. And as soon as I don't get filled at 13, I cancel my order.
Only got filled 1,500 shares on TENX. It's the first 5 minute candle to make a new high.
Target really would be back to the highs.
The high of day is 11.19. That's what we want to see. I mean, we want to see it open up. So over 11, I would add.
So I put my order at 11.07, and I'm hovering over the buy button. So we got the buy button. My order's at 11.07. Not 11.07 for any particular reason, just I quickly popped it up there. Now I'm starting to be a little iffy because of the way
seller
it came down. So
suddenly popped up.
So let's look at that seller. There he is. Okay. Arca, that seller again. Coming back, our nemesis today.
For a squeeze to the highs.
Dips down for a second. And there's that seller right there. All right, so that made me feel a little bit nervous because I'm thinking, I don't know if there are 25,000 shares of buyers that are going to buy this up. This is a little extended on the 1 minute. I'm in at 10. It's not the best entry. This could go right back down to the lows. It could get rejected. It's not the best 5 minute setup, so I'm going to get out. But then all of a sudden, the seller's gone. So, you know, I see it and I get out.
Stopped out because of that seller that suddenly popped up at 10.50.
And so that was a little bit surprising. Usually they don't just disappear.
Looked like a 20,000 share seller or something at 1050. High was 1077. See if it does a 1 minute pullback here, but I'm not sure if it will.
So there's the seller again. This time, let's see, on NASDAQ. And then gone. And now back to 70.
Too soon. High is 1077. Looks like that seller's gone.
Put an order at 11.
Order at $11 to get back in, possibly.
Scalping the high day break is what that type of entry would be.
No fill. I think I messed up my click on the order button.
So let's look at that.
Gone.
So I put my mouse back down here to the buy button, but I think I put it just a little too low, and I click like right here. Yeah, see, I just screwed up there.
My click on the order button.
So we hit a high of 1150 almost.
But, well, not fully capitalizing on this one, but nice move there through the highs. High is now 1139. A true 1 minute pullback.
So just fast forward this a little bit. So we've got 1169. Oh, so I take another trade here. Let's back this up here. Okay. All right. So right here,
so
we have a little 1 minute micro pullback. Let's clear this out. All right, so this is our 1 minute micro pullback. The low is 11, the high is 1169. So we're looking for the first candle to make a new high. I've got my mouse on this candle because I want to know the high, and the high on that candle is 1155. My order's at 1150 right now.
High now okay, I'm long 49 on TENX.
So I get back in there.
Highs. First 1 minute candle to make a new high. That's that setup right there.
But I'm a little nervous here because
48.
Look at that, down to 35.
So a little bit of resistance there at 60.
So now I'm kind of straddling my entry, and I'm thinking I need to try to ease out.
71.
So orders are going on the ask. 67. I'll cancel the order. I'll place a new one. Cancel the order. Place a new one. Keep trying to piece out on the ask, knowing that I'll get the best exit if I sell on the ask. And I do get filled on the ask here. And so
all
there,
out of
$5,000.
63 for right now.
So false breakout, not surprising. And then it starts to dip down a little bit. So we've got this trade on RXII that comes up. So on RXII, I'll just mute this again.
It's not my favorite daily chart.
So RXII is starting to curl up. It's hitting the scanners. And I'm looking at it because I'm thinking, all right, it's hitting the scanners. There is news on it. That's the high. It's got room to here, which is $5. It's at 365. So I'm like, all right, this looks good. So on this one, I decide to open up my IRA account. TENX is a little too, and there's that seller again, by the way. TENX is a little too expensive for my IRA. So I open up my IRA for this RXII trade. So let's go back and see what happens here. It's popping up. It hits a high of 65. It then pulls back. So I type in the symbol RXII. I type 5,000 shares. 378. So we've got a high now of 380? It then dips down. Oh, hold up. So obviously I don't fill on that one. Let's back this up 1 second. Okay, so here we've got, so this is kind of a funny thing. So I press Shift 1, which prepares a order for 5,616 shares. And then I have to press the Enter button to execute the order. All right, so I must have pressed it at 39. It's a 10-cent offset, and so that goes to 49. All right, so now the problem is I have this dragged over onto my other monitor, and I'm like, what order is going through? So I'm a little confused. And then I accidentally typed 6,000 right here. So it was asking me if I want to continue. And I'm like, yes, for the love of God, let's send the order. All right, so I press OK. And now I'm not totally clear on what's happened. I'm like, wait, did the order go? So I press the buy button again. It says 56, no cash available. And I guess that was too big of size for some reason. So the order doesn't go through. It says it's rejected. And so I canceled it because I thought maybe it was open. I wasn't fully clear on what was happening. Now I typed 5,000, but now it's at 65, and I'm like, slow down, don't give in to FOMO. Right now you're just chasing it, give it a second. And then that's where we see it pop up to a high of 80. Pops up to a high of 80, now I'm thinking 1 minute micro pullback. So I prepare an order for 5,000 shares at 4. I press the buy button. I don't get filled because 5,000 shares times $4 is 20,000. I've only got 18,000 in this account. So I get rejected for no buying power. And now it's halted. It's up 55%, and you can see right here it is halted on a circuit breaker. Now it's halted officially with that little H symbol. So just before a stock gets halted, what we usually see, just watch this right here. Okay, so see how quickly this squeezes up? And now you see some sells going through at 13. So there's still trading going through, but you can tell it's about to get halted. The way the price gets kind of pinned there at that level, this is stereotypical. A stock is about to get halted, and a few orders continue to pass through at that price, and now it's halted. It'll be halted for 5 minutes. And I'm feeling the FOMO here because I'm like, dang it, I missed my fill here at 56 or whatever it is, I guess buying power. So, I screwed up, and now I'm missed the whole move. All right, so I at that point I was like, I'm closing it down because if I trade, I'm likely to be too aggressive, or FOMO is gonna get me. So I just leave it alone. We're still halted here. So when we trade stocks that are halted, I don't have the the symbol up here. Oh, well, all right. So we'll come back and look at TENX, but let's just look at this RXII on the resumption of the halt. Okay, so it was halted at 13, and it resumes at a low of 26 and immediately squeezes up to 70. Typical. Stock is halted, opens 5-10% higher. There's the squeeze. 470 on the ask. But it's the moment of truth. Will it hold that level, or will it come back down? So the high is 470. Still seeing some buying, but a little bit churn here. There's some sell orders going through. There's 488, 490, 508, 516. Now it's about to get halted again here at 516, but it's not quite halted. It drops down. So here's the thing with those halts. There are volatility bands, and the volatility bands are 10%, a 10% move. So the thing is, it's the average price over the last 5 minutes. So every second that passes when a stock is moving up, the average price over the last 10 minutes also continues to rise. And it has to be 10% above that average price. So a stock has to move up very quickly in order to get halted. Now, when it breaks those volatility bands, which in this case is, right around here, and it would also be to the low side, like right around here. If it breaks these bands, it has to stay outside the band for a full, I can't remember if it's 10 or 15 seconds. If it stays outside the band for a full 15 seconds, it will get halted a second time. So in this case here, it was outside the bands, but then someone put out a sell order below 516 to sell at 505, and it came back within the bands, and so it continues trading. So this kind of action right here is when the stock is outside the bands, about to get halted. Is there going to be a sell order that brings it back down? And there is right here at 12. So the bid comes back down inside those volatility bands. It pops back up, dips back down again, and now we're back within the bands. And of course, a couple seconds have passed, which means in order for it to get halted now, it would probably have to be closer to 522 or 524. But it reverses, it comes back down. And from that point, kind of done. Hang on, let me just mute this. Sorry, I know that's loud. The stock hitting the scanners there. All right, so that was that trade there on RXII, which I completely missed. And in the meantime, I lost $3,000 on TENX. All right, so I jump in TENX. So TENX pops back up. We see here it's doing this little pullback. It pops back up, and I'm watching it for a break over the highs. So I'm watching right here. I'm thinking about scalping it over the high a day. We've got a high 92. I'm thinking about getting in for the break of $12. So let me just back this up. So as it squeezes up, I jump in at 70. Let's see, I get in at 78 right there. I start to see some buyers. Of course, I'm one of them, but I start to see some buyers. I press the order 79, 88, 88. And I'm thinking this is going to go straight from here right to like 1225. And I'll be getting in, 1185, selling at 1220, nice $1,500 winner or something like that. This is what I don't expect. I get in and see how all of a sudden, like what just happened? We were just at 92 on the ask and now it's 76. That took me a little bit by surprise. And so I'm like, okay, now I'm in full size. And remember, so it almost seems like maybe there's a little hidden seller there because I'm adding at 90. Buyers, I guess just a big seller on the ask. And so now I'm in and I'm like, well, geez, the low of the pullback is down here. That's kind of a little bit too far for me to hold it. So I'm like, all right, well, let's just keep an eye on this. Let's see what it does. I'm down $1,200 right now, unrealized. There's 1192, and I'm thinking, okay, that's right. Let's break that level, get over 12. But then flashes back to 77. So I'm like, what is going on with this thing? 92, okay, 95, but someone's holding tight there around 92. 71. Flashing back down. So I'm getting a little nervous here and I'm like, okay, I want to give it a chance, but at the same time, I'm in this pretty high on the 5 minute. How much space am I going to give it? And so I'm holding and I've got my order at 95 and part of me was like, oh, maybe I'll add for a scalp. And then I'm thinking the other part of me is like, I shouldn't add because this is already a bad trade. The fact that it's not working to this extent and I'm down this much is not good. I need to piece out of it. But I'm still thinking, well, if it can break over 92, it could go. It could go 1220, 1230, maybe 1250. So I sort of see both sides. And I'm watching, there's a big chunk of buy orders that go through. I'm just watching here, waiting to see if there's enough buyers to overpower that seller. A little bit of a pullback, but I'm also thinking about, not liking that. Right? All of a sudden down to there and I'm $3,500 unrealized loss. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the most I can, how far away can I put my stop? I lose my connection to Lightspeed for a second. Comes back. So I'm like, all right, I'm back up here. 1192 is still the spot I'm watching. What am I going to do? I want to see it break that level. This is now a 1 minute micro pullback. So I'm holding through the pullback, waiting for the first candle to make a new high, and just kind of playing it by ear. I'm not sure what this is going to do. And really at this point, I probably should have started trying to sell. Here I lose my connection. All of a sudden I've got no quotes, and then they come back. So I'm like, something's going on with my internet, but this could get bad. Because if I lose it and all of a sudden it comes back up and it's at 1085, I'm looking at a $7,500 loss. So that made me a little nervous. So looking for the first candle to make a new high to see if we come back up. And we will, but we'll double top. And maybe what I could have done is tried to sell some at 82 or 85, getting out close to break even. That probably would have been the right thing to do given the fact that the fact that I'm down 2,200, the odds of this being a home run at this point are pretty slim. So here we're back at 85, 86, and I'm like, okay, that's what we want to see. First 1 minute candle to make a new high, but my old buddy 25,000 shares is going to come back, and that's when I'm going to hit the sell. So I'm thinking, okay, all right, let's go. Looks good. Okay, 71 by 85. It's got to get over 90. What's going on? And there's the problem. As soon as I saw that, the second I saw that, I pressed the sell button at 65. I mean, I was like, nope. Not gonna keep holding that. Because I'm in too high. And that's I'm not obviously gonna be able to sell on the ask. I gotta just get out. And this can go back down pretty fast. So I pressed the sell button at 65. I'm not the only one that saw that. My order doesn't get filled at 65. All right, so I'm pressing the sell button at 65. Let's just back this up a little bit more. Oops, I went back too far. So I see this. I'm going to see the seller here in 1 second. Again, I'm like asking myself, am I losing my connection? What's going on? And I'm not totally sure. And then I see the sell order right there. I immediately put out my sell on 65. Doesn't get filled. And just like that, we're back down at 42. I've got an order at 53 to try to sell, try to lighten up. I'm still holding 7,300 shares. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. It's 11:42. I've got my order at 11:53, and boom, just like that, I got filled at 50. So someone was a buyer covering, I don't know, but I got filled on the ask, which was good, and I'm out of the trade. But there goes $3,600 or whatever it was, 3,200. So a little disappointing there, obviously, to go from up 5,000 on the day to up only 2,600, but at the same time, I said, you know what, green is good. I'm not going to push my luck. I'm going to be happy with the win and, you know, not give in to FOMO on RXII and be back at it fresh tomorrow. All right, so that's the breakdown of that trade. Obviously, it's, you know, there was a lot going on there, but I really hope this was helpful for you guys. And stay tuned for the next one. All right, feel free to watch it again if you have, you know, you just want to keep watching it and really soak it in. All right, I'll see you guys later.